Hello, Dan here. We're going to do our first Photoshop tutorial. Right, this is the effect that we're going for. You see this a lot in advertising. It's where you've got one object which is in color. In this case, it's the rally car, and the rest of the background is black and white. So I'm going to show you how to do this really good effect very, very quickly in Photoshop. The first thing that we need to do is we need to go to the internet and we need to find a picture of a rally car to use. So I'm going to go into Google, type in rally car and get the search results. Now, these are all about the web pages. Not interested in the web pages, I'm interested in the images. So I click images here. Now I want a really good picture with a really good background. So these pictures here aren't good enough because the background is white. These ones here, not too great because even though the background is of a countryside, it's in snow, it's black and white, so the pictures, the colors aren't going to pop. So I'm going to scroll down and see if I can find an image I want. This one's not too bad, but I'm looking at the size there. It's quite tiny, 440 pixels by 268. So I'm going to continue. This one looks really good, 900 by 596. So I'm going to click that picture. Going to view the image, and that will give a picture full size. Now I need to get this into Photoshop, and one of the easiest ways to do it is to right click and copy the image. That's going to copy it to the clipboard. So once I've copied it, I'm going to go to Photoshop and I'm going to go File and New. Great feature about Photoshop is that when you create a new document, it will make it the size of the image currently in the clipboard. So this matches 900 by 596. So I click on it, OK. There's my big canvas to play around with. Control V to paste or edit paste if you want to use the menus. And hey presto, I've got my car. Now, one of the first rules of Photoshop is the chances are you might make a mistake. So it's always good to go back to the original state. Now, Photoshop enables you to play with layers. Here's the layer panel. What I can see is I've got two layers due to this picture, a background and the actual car itself, known as layer one. These eyes next to each layer switch on the visibility. So if I switch on the eye, look, it's gone and I can just see the background. Get rid of the background and I can just see this transparent checker value there indeed. Now, what I'm going to do is I don't need that background. You may not have a background, but if there's a layer that you don't need, easiest way to get rid of it is to click and drag it to this bin icon there. There you go. I'm just left with one layer. Now, what I'm going to do is, this is my original picture of the car. I might want to get back to this later, just in case I make a mistake. So it's a good idea to make a copy of that layer. All I do is drag it to that new layer icon. Looks like a piece of paper. There you go. You can see I now have two layers, layer one and layer one copy. Now, I'm going to rename layer one by just clicking on it. If I right click on it, where's the option to rename it? It's not there. Alt click, that gives me the option to rename it. So I'm going to call it original. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that out of the way. I'm going to click on the eye to make it disappear. Now you may think, wait a minute, I can still see it. Remember, I've copied the layers. So I want to work with this copy. Now, the first thing I need to do is I need to select the actual car itself. There are a number of different Photoshop tools, but this version has a really good tool, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 down. If you put your mouse pointer over, it's called the Quick Selection tool. Looks like a paintbrush with a dotted line around it. If I click on this, this will make my cursor change to a little dot, and I can select an area very easily. And all I do is I just click on the area, and look, I just clicked once and it selected that area. The tool finds the edges of the shape that you're selecting. So I can click and drag more of this car, and it's automatically selecting that car. There you go, look. You can see the army of ants round the car itself. Now, if you make a mistake, you can deselect everything using the shortcut key, Control and D. Look, the army of ants have gone. Going to bring that back, and I'm just going to continue to click and drag and select the entire car. There we go. Let's get the undercarriage, get the wheels, get the roof. There you go. Made a bit of a boo-boo there by selecting just a bit of the car itself there. Okay, but that's roughly the car selected. Need to select these bits. So all I've got now is an army of ants around the entire car. Now, another good tip is whenever you select everything, you might need that selection later. So in Photoshop, you can save the selection. Quite easy. You've got all the menus along the top. If I want to mess around with selections, you'll find it under the Select menu, Select, and Save Selection. It asks for a name, so I'm going to give it the name Car and click on OK. So that means I can load the selection at any time should I need to. Let's give that a go. Control and D deselects. Car is no longer selected. I go to Select. I go to Load Selection. Now here I need to use the channel pull down and select Car. Click on OK and the car is selected again. And you can save multiple selections in your Photoshop file. Okay, so I want to make it black and white now. So what I do is I'm going to use the brush tool. The brush tool is the tool that looks like a paintbrush, funnily enough. And the shortcut key is B. There you go, brush tool. Now, when you select any tool in Photoshop, just below the menu is where all the Photoshop tools live. So you can change the settings of the brush. Over here, we've got the size. So currently my size is like 90. I can choose different types of nibs. So this one's going to be quite faint. I'm going to choose a hard, round one. And I've got different modes. The mode you need for this, not normal, because normal is just like painted over it like a big pen. Going to undo that, Control Z. I want the color mode. Spelled incorrectly the American way because this is made by Americans. Select color. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint over. Now, I've just realized, and I've done this on purpose. Have a look at my results. I have made the background color, but the car black and white. I've saturated the color out of the car. Just deselect and you can see that it looks pretty cool, but it's not the effect that I want. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to bin this layer. I don't need it. Just discard it. I've still got my original below, so I just drag it, layer one copy to the bin. There's my original layer. I'm going to make another copy of that. Original copy. Hide the original because I don't want to screw up with that. Make sure I've got the original selected, and I need to select the car again. I could use that selection tool, but wait a minute. I save the selection, so I go to Select, Load, pull down menu, here, Channel, and select Car. The car is now selected. Now, the issue with that brush tool is it's only enables you to paint within the selection. I've selected the car, not the background. I don't want to select the car. I want to leave the car alone. So there's a nice, easy option called Select Inverse. And what that does is you've got the object selected, it inverts it. It selects everything else but that car. You can see that because my army of ants are now around the background and the car. If I was to select my brush tool, I'm going to change the mode to normal. I can't paint, click and drag inside the car itself, but I can on the background. I'm going to Control Z, get rid of that. So now I'm going to go to my brush, select the color mode again, and I'm going to paint all over the background. You'll see it here on the green. It's making the grass black and white. Now, if your brush is too small, you can use the straight bracket keys next to the P key to make it bigger or smaller. That's the one on the right hand side next to the P key. And quickly we can paint over it and get rid of the background. Control D to deselect, get rid of the army of ants, and there I go. Really good effect in Photoshop. Let's have a look at the original.